Good evening. It's finally over, y'all. Finally over, kids. The paper 2 and paper 1 and paper 3 for CSEC IT is over. And I am going to be working out the answer for you right now for the paper 2. I do work out whole paper 1 questions, paper 1 papers for obvious reasons. And I haven't seen the paper 3 yet because nobody decided to send it. But that's alright. So we're going to work out the paper 2. Before I start, listen very carefully. I have always been extremely critical of CSEC when they change the IT syllabus and the way that they ask certain questions, especially the questions with lists and the questions about trace tables and all that stuff that didn't make any sense because it always seemed like the examiners were trying to be too cute and ask questions that were extremely complex or difficult or try to be very, very, very cheeky. For the first time since the syllabus changed from 2020, this was the greatest, mark my words, I'm telling you, this is the best CSEC IT exam CXC has ever put out after the 2020 syllabus change. Why was it the greatest one? Because it actually asks questions that cause students to think and apply what they know instead of asking a question that was totally ambiguous or totally not making sense or totally asking you to do things that you already do in your SBA. I find the paper was very, 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 very intuitive, but not too getting in its own way. It literally asks a question to test your knowledge, and the students that understood their work shouldn't have had a problem with it because you understand how to apply the work, which is what the intention of CXC was. The intention of CXC was always to make you understand how to apply IT to different scenarios, and I think they achieved that with this paper. So this is the best paper that has ever happened since the syllabus changed in 2020. So let's go into the paper. So chances are it's late in the night and you're watching this past paper video hoping that you get the answers to the past paper that you've been looking for all this time and you're happy that it actually exists on YouTube. Well, don't leave it up to the YouTube algorithm to show you the rest of answers. I have an app that's called Learn It by makeITsimpleTT and it has all the past paper answers in chronological order for the past 10 years, maybe 12, depending on the time that you're watching this video. It might have a lot more. The app is called Learn It. Go find it, download it. Link will be in the description. And if you want to see the PDF with the actual Crapplefoot handwriting that I have with the answers, so you could actually scroll through the PDF and look at the answers as it was written instead of watching the video, hey, you could do that too. Download the app now. Alright, back to the answers. A company needs to notify its 650 clients about the new opening hours. This information must be sent to its clients and sent by the end of the week. So you notice that they have 650 clients one time. That should give you a sign of something is weird, that you have 650 people to deal with. The client's contact information is stored in a table format using the following list of field headings. So they're basically giving you all the headings of a table, and this table is clearly a data source. Remember, they could ask you word processing questions, and those word processing questions could be mail merge or table of contents or headings or formatting, right? This one is clearly a mail merge. So the information is printed on paper and distributed in the envelope as shown below. Yes, this is an envelope because the envelope will usually have like a stamp here and it will have like an address here. Right? So if you went through mail merge, you would understand that a mail merge is not just on paper and it's not just an email. Mail merge could also be a letter or cards or anything like that, right? It could be anything like that. So state the type of printer most appropriate for printing notices and envelopes. Now, because it's 650 clients, there are two types of printers that you could put here. You could put laser, or you could put, I think inkjet. Why I think laser is the better answer is because you have 650 to do. 650 envelopes will need to go fast. An inkjet printer will take real long to do 650 envelopes because an inkjet printer goes like 1 page per minute. That means it will take you about 650 minutes. But a laserjet printer goes a lot faster and it could go like 20 pages per minute. So this print will only take you about, 15 to 20 minutes, depending on the amount of pages I have to go. So I believe a laser printer is the better answer. But they can't tell you no for inkjet because an inkjet printer could print pretty fast enough. And they didn't give enough clues in the question to tell you, well, it has to be done fast. It just says by the end of the week. So you could probably leave it to print overnight and then come the next day. So we'll just put laser, right? Laser will be accepted. State 2 field headings from the list that should not be used on the envelope. So on the envelope, they'll most likely have to put the name and gender. No, not gender. Name and local address, right? Name and address. Address and name. Some of the things you won't put the person's gender on the envelope because that's weird. Why do you need to put the gender? And you probably won't put their email address because it's a physical letter. So we'll put an account number. You won't put account number. So we'll definitely say we won't put account number. We won't put their email, and we won't put their gender. Right? All those that not making sense to put out there. So we'll go with that. That's basically, that's common sense, right? You wish to see a preview of what the document will look like on the envelope. On A, illustrate where the appropriate field headings should be placed. So you basically have to write it in. I would put their name here first. First name, then last name. And then we will put local address and parish name. You know a Jamaican write this question because they have parish inside it. No other Caribbean country has parishes. So big up to the Jamaican who did this question. This is a nice question. It's a nice question, honestly speaking, right? So, right, parish name, we put that. So I put, it's 3 marks, and it's 3 marks, so I put 3 things, right? 3 things should be good there. State the type of document needed to complete a mail merge that is represented by the list of field headings in A. Right, so the type of document that is needed to complete a mail merge that is represented by the list of headings in A. So the name of this document here that has all these fields is called a data source. So we'll call it data source. Because for a mail merge to work, you need the template plus the data source. And that gives you the merge document. Right? So the type of document is definitely a data source. If you put the name of a program like a spreadsheet or Microsoft Access or whatnot, that wouldn't be good. That would be wrong because that's the program that creates the data source. So data source is usually the best answer. You may get through with secondary documents. There are some textbooks, I believe, may have secondary document because for mail merge, they have template plus secondary document or primary document plus secondary document. So sometimes they have template and sometimes they have primary document and then they have secondary. It could be that, right? I guess that would work. Nothing else gonna fit inside there because there's clearly the data source, or this is the data that you're merging to the primary document. Table, source document, no, all those other things, nah, that wouldn't work out too well. That's all I believe that they should be looking for, and if I were, marking it, that's what I would look for. Okay, while printing the information on a new opening hours, the printer stopped printing after page 450, suggests 2 possible causes of this printer problem. Now there is hardware, let's call it by hardware specification, no, hardware troubleshooting. That's part of the syllabus also. And well, I don't know if some teachers don't really focus too much on it, but hardware troubleshooting is there. So if they stop at page 450, and when our printer stops, usually the first thing I think about is a paper jam. Or you could say out of ink. Or you could say clog the cartridge. Or if it's a laser printer, you could say overheating. Now, on the syllabus, all they have is paper jams, clog cartridge. Out of ink is like an inference answer that are putting inside there, and overheating is an inference answer. So the strongest answer here will be paper jam and clog cartridges, right? Now, they said it's a printer problem. So some students might have put it ran out of pages. But if it ran out of pages, that's not a printer problem. That's a user problem because the user didn't put enough pages. So if you put out of paper, that is not a printer problem. However, the Caribbean Examinations Council is very capable of putting out of paper as an answer. So I'll put this as an outlier, meaning there may be an examiner who argues for that, and says, okay, all you all have to put this on the mark sheet, because what happens is there's a mark sheet and the examiners have to look at the answers and then they have to give feedback and say what they think should be accepted or what shouldn't be accepted. I would personally wouldn't accept out of paper because that is not a printer problem. But if you have out of paper, you might have half a chance of some examiner arguing for it. But easy answers, paper jam, clock cartridges, out of ink, overheating, that all those things are possible, right? Yeah, power outage. We can't accept power outage. Power outage is not a printer problem. Power outage is electricity service problem. Yeah, right. But this question here, I anticipate that they would have to accept a lot of different answers. Because students will come up with all kind of creative things, like some of the things they'll put in the chat. I could see that they have legitimate reasons, and the examiners will have to ask questions about it. All right, direct data entry is a more efficient method for the company to use to enter data for its future clients on the table. So just one direct data entry device that would support this type of data entry. So direct data entry is a tricky word here, because how do you enter data directly? You have to know the different ways of entering data. So you can enter the data directly into the computer, and they will try to take away the human element, because if they take away the human element, it will go a lot faster. So if they want to enter data for the clients on the table, then they could use, there are many ways of direct data entry, right? But one of the easiest ones is a fillable form. Now, a fillable form means that somebody goes online or somewhere and they type up the information and then they click send. When they click send, the information goes directly into the computer. That's one of the reasons why I learned fillable forms in CSEC IT, because fillable forms are a way of collecting the data faster. Because back in the day, you would have to fill out the form on paper, hand it to a human being, you hand it to the human being reads it, and then when they read the information, they have to type it into a computer, and that used to take a long time. So a fillable form is one. Now, there are other ways that you could get the data if somebody fill it out in, like, on a piece of paper in block letters. So they could use OCR, optical character recognition. They could use OMR to read things, right? Now, the fact that I said state one data entry device, that's going to take fillable form out of the running. But it could be that you give them like a tablet or a tablet with the fillable form on it. So if you put a tablet with a fillable form, that's the fastest way you're going to get information in. And they can't get it wrong because you put tablet. So a tablet could be used to input a form. So imagine you go by the dentist and the dentist gives you an iPad. And on the iPad, you type up the information and you click submit. They did give you a device and it did go straight into the database. So that's something that I would argue for. But OCR, optical character recognition, that's another way, and that's clearly a device because it has to go through a scanner. So it's an optical character recognition scanner. So OCR would be a good answer. OMR, if they have to choose different things. However, OMR mightn't be the best one because the data that they're trying to put in here is things that you have to type. So you have to put in account number, first name, last name, gender. So you have to fill in the information. So OMR not gonna fit inside it because optical mark reader collects only one or two things based on like choices or multiple choice. So if you put tablet or touch screen device, something like that leads to them putting in a fillable form, cool. If you just put OMR, which is they will fill out the form and put it in to the system, it will read it automatically. However, part 2 throws a little spanner into this question. And this is why I like the paper, because it causes students to think about data entry. And data entry is something that you learn when you do information processing. You put the information in, you process it, and you get information coming out. So identify an appropriate validation check that will be used to ensure that all the data for one client is entered before entering data for our next client. So validation checks is Validation checks are checks that you could check to make sure that the data is valid, meaning any one item you could check for. So you could do data type checks, because data type could be used for account number, first name could be format, gender could be data type also, email address could be local address, parish name, yeah. So data type check is definitely one, because you need to have a number. You could have a range for the ID, if you're putting an ID. You could have format and length for like name and stuff. Yeah, because the name could be like 50 characters or something like that. Email address could be formatted properly too, so format and length could work also. Presence check. Presence would be good too, because you have to make sure that certain data is present, or else you can't send email. Reasonableness, I don't think reasonableness will fit there, because there's nothing that they're collecting here that will be unreasonable. Account number, first name, last name, gender, email address, local address. No, reasonableness checks is like how many cars do you have? What is a reasonable number of cars for somebody to have? So I think data type, range, format and length, present should be okay. Alright, so the company is contemplating storing the data table in the cloud. Describe what is meant by cloud storage. Cloud storage is, in the simplest terms, storing data on a remote server that is accessible by a web interface using a username and password. Right, I just kind of stuffed that answer with everything that you could say about cloud storage. So storing data that's accessible by a web interface on a remote server, you could say over the internet, accessible, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, basically should be okay there, right? The person that asks about consistency check. Yeah, consistency check could work, because if your local address doesn't match your... Nah, you can't put consistency check. No, that would be kind of weird. Like local address matching the parish name. If they had like a zip code, maybe. But I wouldn't accept consistency inside there. Consistency is a little... nah. Alright, so stored... The information not stored online for a cloud server. The information is stored in somebody else's server. Like, it's not actually online. You get it via online means, but it's not stored online. It's stored on a server. Right? So that's one mark. But whatever here right there, the one mark should be okay once you say access your stuff over the internet, right? State one advantage of using cloud storage instead of local storage as the medium of storing the data table. So using cloud storage instead of local storage. Cloud storage can be accessed from multiple devices as long as they have an internet connection, right? So we would say that, but you have plenty others that you could choose, plenty others. Usually accessing it from multiple devices is the best, but you could also say cost, because the cost will start off small and then you could carry it up if you want. You could also say backups, because the cloud storage usually has backups and different features. Because if it's local storage, you have to do your own backups. So you could also say larger storage possible if needed. Right, so if you decide that you want to have 2 terabytes, you could pay for the next 2 terabytes or whatnot, right? I can't accept reliability, because the cloud storage won't be reliable, because if you have bad internet, you won't be able to access your data, but local storage will always be there, no matter what. So, yeah. Nice. So that's part D. Paper ones went already by Javish. Paper one was today, but I'm not working on the paper one, because as I said, I do have the paper one, and 2, I do have a work out whole paper ones on the channel, because, yeah. Data stored on many different types of storage devices. So state the type of storage device that's most appropriate for each of the following. A large amount of data stored for backup and recovery purposes. You would use a tape drive or a hard drive. Backup and recovery, that means you're not using it every single day. So you could put these things on a tape drive and you could store them offsite. So you could say offsite. Once they're offsite, that means backup and recovery means if you have a disaster, something bad happens, you'll be able to go offsite and get it, right? Usually you wouldn't say cloud storage for this because when you have large amounts of data that's not being used all the time, just for backup and recovery, cloud storage you'll be wasting money paying for cloud storage to hold all that information when you mightn't use it in like months. You might only use it once every 3 years or something like that. So you don't want to pay for cloud storage to store large amounts of data and then you're just paying for holding all that data when you can just buy a bunch of hard drives, store the information and then put it offsite. So that'll be the best answer. There's a fight here for cloud storage, but I wouldn't say that cloud storage. You can see where the question trying to lead you. The question trying to lead you that is for backup and recovery purposes, and backup and recovery is still tape drives and hard drives, always. Data that's frequently taken from one computer to another, you put flash drive, that's easy. Flash drive, USB drive, or you could say micro SD, you could say SD/micro SD cards. SD/micro SD cards. And data that is stored as a file on a computer, that will be a hard drive or SSD, because it's on a computer, and if it's on a computer, you have to store it on a file. Now, if you put local storage, they have type of storage, so I believe local storage will be accepted also, because it's a type of storage, but it's a type of storage device. So the word device here kind of telling me that they want you to name a device, which makes sense because each one of them, like, it has the word storage device there. So you have to put the storage device. So local storage here, I'll put an asterisk by it because local storage doesn't tell you a storage device. Local storage is just local storage. Local storage could be a hard drive, it could be a SSD, it could be a flash drive that you have plugging in or whatnot. So I don't think primary or secondary or whatnot will work because they want the word device. So you have to give them a device. So tape drive is a device, hard drive is a device, flash drive is a device, SD cards, devices. And you can see that the question is testing your understanding without being too unnecessary with it. So students that kind of understand what storage devices are, they will understand how to apply it to the scenario, which is like, it's perfect. It's perfect. I ain't gonna lie to you. I love this question because these are the kind of questions that show that IT could be applied to different places and you need to understand how to apply it. So, well done, CXE, well done. Alright, and then they give you a sample list of clients shown below. State the specific spreadsheet function that would achieve each of the following results. Total number of clients. Oh, right, they say function, right? So it'll be equal sign sum. No, total number of clients will be count. Because you really don't have any sum to add, that's going on for count. Count A. Right? Because count A counts everything in the cell. So all you have to do is do a count A for this, and that will work. However, if you do it on a count number, you could use normal counts because it will count any number that's inside there. So if you use count A, you should put the range. If you use equal count, you would say from A2. They didn't put the things well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13. Right, if you use count, you will only have to use it on the account numbers column because count only looks for numbers. But if you just put count A, you could count anything that you want because once the cell has something inside of it, count A will count it, right? It can't be sum because there is nothing. If you try to find the sum of anything inside of here, if you find the sum of account numbers, that'll be a problem because you'll get a really big number, but it asks you for the total number of clients. So the total number of clients is just the total number of rows that you have. So if you put the plain count, it will have to be on the account numbers column. I'm almost positive that they're looking for you to use count A, because count A is something on the syllabus that they haven't tested very well. So I believe that they will be checking for count A. If you put count and you put the range, that's correct also, because in my view, you are showing that you understand that you could count digits inside of a cell, and that's what count does, right? And well, you could put count if you want, and put no thing, but I'm not writing that. That will confuse students when they watch it later, right? Right. Number of female clients will be count if, so equal count if, right? They didn't ask you to write the function that you would put in. They said state the specific function, so you put count if. But I mean, just to be sure, if you really don't understand, you could put count if A, B, C, D, D2 to D13, comma, quotation marks, female. You do not have to write this part here, because there's only one mark. All they're looking for is the word count if. That's all they're looking for. I just let you know, if the question was to go a little further, you could put the range that you're looking at and then look for the word female. But that's the only way you're going to get all the females, because they have to use a count if inside there, because they want to get the number of female clients. So that's count if. And again, this tests your understanding of how to apply the functions, which is very, very good. And they didn't mince words, they said function, so you had to put the function. Right? Good. And then part F, we're still in the first question, but it's a really good question. The company wants to know how many male clients reside in Christchurch. Say the feature that would extract these clients. So extract, when you're extracting something, you're filtering, right? So filter, or you could put advanced filter. Because a filter could filter Christchurch and males and it will give you that, or you could put advanced filter. Advanced filter will just do it in one shot. But either way, it's cool. Pivot table won't really extract. Pivot table will summarize the data, it wouldn't really extract anything. So you can't do that. Determine the number of clients that would be produced from the given sample, given the feature identified in part 1. How many male clients are in Christchurch? Well, that's cake. So you just have to go and be like, male, Christchurch, there's 1, male, St. Andrew, no, male, St. John, no, male, Christchurch, 2. Yeah, so I think you're getting 2. Yeah, it looked like 2. Yeah, so it'll just be 2. That's just to look at the table and give you the question. Right, the feature that will extract clients. No, query won't work because query is what you do in a database. This is a spreadsheet, clearly a spreadsheet. And VLOOKUP not gonna work either. No. Yeah. Right. And that's question 1. So out of question 1, I could say that the toughest thing inside question 1 that students would probably mess up based on my understanding of like things that students tend to not know. This part here with the printer problems, plenty students are studying that. This part here with the data types, that's okay. Cloud storage, no problem. This part here with the different types of devices, I think plenty students would have missed the word device and they'd have just put like generic terms like primary storage, secondary storage and whatnot. And definitely the counting and the count if. That's 2 marks there that you could have missed. But other than that, I don't think there's too much of an issue here. So you could have easily come out of this question with 15 to 20 marks. 15 to 20. And it was a question that didn't go extra. It wasn't too out there. It was well thought out and well done. So to the most likely, because it's Christchurch, because it have parish names, most likely it's a Jamaican who do it. So to the Jamaican teacher who probably wrote this question,
give yourselves a round of applause.